Welcome to Swirl AI Search, the podcast that dives deep into the world of enterprise AI search. Discover how to unlock the value hidden within your internal data and accelerate your journey to actionable insights. Let's cut through the noise and find out how you can get the most out of your internal information. As befitting a podcast about AI, this episode was created with the help of Notebook LM. Please enjoy the Swirl AI Search podcast.
You know what feeling. Sitting at your desk, you really need this one specific piece of info, like right now.
Mhm.
Maybe it's, I don't know, a key number from last quarter or something buried in an old project doc or tracking down some decision made way back on Slack.
Right, the usual scramble.
Exactly. So naturally, you type your query into the company search bar.
And brace yourself.
Yeah, and then you're just, well, you're bombarded, aren't you? This massive list, maybe hundreds of results emails, Slack messages, SharePoint files, random database entries, all just dumped on your screen.
It's like asking for a specific tool and getting the entire messy toolbox thrown at you.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately the reality for, well, probably most knowledge workers trying to find things inside their own companies.
Yeah.
We've been digging into some source material that really doesn't pull any punches here. It describes the typical enterprise search as, frankly, broken and outdated.
It does. And really jumped out at me was the why it feels so broken. This material highlights how the sheer amount of, you know, unstructured data we're creating, all those documents, messages, slides, is just exploding.
Right.
But the tools we use to actually find stuff in that explosion, they haven't really kept up. Still mostly just basic keyword matching, you know?
Exactly. And that gap, that disconnect, leads straight to all those frustrations we all feel. A big one the sources point out is just the overwhelming volume of results.
Oh, yeah.
You search for something seemingly simple, and bam, hundreds, maybe thousands of possible hits scattered across, well, everywhere, every system.
And the duplicates? Ugh, don't even get me started on the duplicates. Seeing the exact same report, maybe slightly different versions, listed over and over.
Because one's a Word doc, one's a PDF, one's an Excel sheet.
And it was attached to 3 different emails and maybe posted in Teams too.
Yeah. So you have to click into each one, try to figure out which is the final, which is the most relevant. It's pure manual labor.
It absolutely is. And then there's the ranking, or lack thereof. It's just chaos, isn't it? Like old meeting minutes showing up with the same importance as the current official policy or the very latest sales data.
No context.
Wow.
So again, it falls on you to manually sift, check dates, check sources, verify relevance, figure out what actually matters for your question right now.
So the big takeaway from this research seems to be that our current search tools, they're basically pushing the hard work onto us, the users.
Mm-hmm.
We're the ones stuck doing all that filtering, the deduplicating, trying to rank things mentally, and let's be honest, often just giving up and researching with different terms, hoping for better luck.
And this manual effort, it's not just frustrating. It has a real significant hidden cost. The material we looked at actually gives it a name. They call it a search tax.
A search tax, I like that.
Yeah, it's the price companies are paying in, well, lost productivity, wasted hours, simply because people can't find what they need efficiently.
Yeah.
And the statistic they cite is pretty stark. Knowledge workers, basically anyone whose job depends on information, they can spend up to 20% of their entire workday just looking for the information they need to actually do their jobs.
20%. Wow. Just stop and think about that for a second. That's a full fifth of your day. It could be, what, 8 hours every single week?
A full day per week, potentially.
Spent hunting. And this is where I think the real human cost becomes so clear, right? It's not just about the lost hours on the clock.
No, it's much deeper than that. It's the lost mental energy. It's the cognitive load.
Yeah, explain that a bit more.
Well, think about it. Constantly sifting through irrelevant results, clicking open duplicates, switching context between your email, your chat, your file system.
Yeah.
It's incredibly distracting.
And exhausting.
And completely draining, yes.
Mm.
Your brain is burning through its limited focus and energy, just trying to make sense of the digital mess instead of applying that energy to the actual task you were trying to do in the first place.
Right, so the consequence is huge. If you're spending, say, 20% of your time and mental effort just finding the data.
Then you have significantly less time and maybe more importantly, less clear mental space to actually use that data effectively.
Less energy for the important stuff like analysis, strategic thinking, solving problems.
Or even just making a quick, confident decision based on the facts.
Yeah.
The sheer weight of that manual search process just wears you down.
Hmm.
And this is the critical connection we really wanted to pull out from the sources today. Tired, distracted people, people who are wading through this information, overload constantly. They're just less likely to make sharp, clear-eyed decisions. It makes sense, right?
Totally.
So the idea is, if you can offload that tedious work, the finding part, you directly free up not just the hours, but that crucial cognitive energy.
Which then enables better analysis, clearer thinking, and ultimately more effective action.
Exactly. You shift from being worn out by the hunt to actually having the mental bandwidth to do something useful with the information once you finally get it.
Okay, so that paints a pretty clear picture of the problem and its human impact. How do we start fixing this? This is where the source material brings in AI, right? Artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Yeah.
The idea presented is that AI has the potential to fundamentally reshape search and lift that burden. They use this great phrase in the material, letting your AI do the walking.
I like that. So the AI handles the legwork.
Kind of. It's about shifting that burden of search refinement, all that manual sifting, sorting. We talked about shifting it from you, the human, onto the AI.
Okay.
The argument is that AI is just, well, much better equipped to understand things like context, relevance, even redundancy across huge volumes of information in a way that old-school keyword search just can't.
So how does it actually work? Like specifically, how does an AI-powered search, the kind described in the sources, change that painful process we started with?
Well, one of the big improvements they talk about is handling duplicates automatically.
Yes.
Right. The AI can recognize that, okay, this Word doc, this PDF, this email attachment, they're essentially the same information. And it can then just surface the most authoritative or maybe the most recent version.
So no more opening 5 things to find the right one.
Hopefully not. That alone would cut out so much wasted effort, wouldn't it?
Huge amount. What else?
Then there's relevance. It goes beyond just matching keywords. AI tries to understand the intent behind your search query.
Like what you really mean.
Sort of, yeah. It looks at other factors. How fresh is the document? Who created it? Are they an authority? What's the context it sits in? And it uses all that to rank the results more intelligently. The goal is putting the answer you actually need right near the top.
Okay, so it's not just giving me a list of 10 blue links that happen to contain my word.
Exactly. It's aiming to give you the answer, or at least get you much closer to it, much faster. The sources even talk about AI being able to potentially extract the key answer directly.
You mean like pull out the specific sentence or number I need?
Precisely. Or highlight the most relevant passages within documents. So you might not even need to open multiple files just to find one specific data point. You get the critical info almost at a glance.
Wow, okay. That's a fundamentally different experience. It feels like moving from being, I don't know, a digital archaeologist carefully digging for clues
Yeah,
to having a research assistant who just presents the key findings to you.
that's a good analogy. And one more thing mentioned is that the AI can also learn and adapt.
How so?
It can learn from your behavior over time which documents you actually click on, which ones you seem to find useful for certain types of tasks, and it uses that feedback to personalize your future results, getting smarter about what you specifically need.
Okay, so let's tie this all back to that human cost we were focusing on. If AI search can do these things, deduplicate, rank better, extract answers, what are the real tangible benefits, how does it actually help us reclaim that lost time and, maybe more importantly, that lost mental clarity?
Well, the material we reviewed points to several key benefits that directly address that search tax. Faster decision-making is a major one.
Makes sense. Less hunting, more deciding.
Exactly. When teams spend less time just trying to find the right information and they experience less of that mental friction and exhaustion we talked about, they can naturally get to insights and make decisions much more quickly.
And productivity must go up too, right?
That's the claim. The sources suggest that by significantly cutting down that search time, maybe reclaiming 10 to 15% of those wasted work hours per employee.
10 to 15%, that's huge.
It's significant time back in your week, absolutely. Time you could then redirect to, actual productive work, creative thinking, collaborating with colleagues, deep focused work, whatever it might be.
Instead of just clicking through search results.
Right. And another crucial benefit highlighted is better accuracy.
How does AI help with accuracy?
By automatically prioritizing the most relevant, the most up-to-date documents, AI search inherently reduces the risk of someone accidentally grabbing and using outdated or just plain wrong information that might have been buried somewhere in that old chaotic search list.
Ah, okay. Preventing costly mistakes based on bad data found through bad search.
That's the idea. So it really all circles back to that central theme, doesn't it? That AI approach isn't just about getting more results or even faster results necessarily.
It's about getting better, more relevant results with far less mental effort from the user.
Yes, it's about shifting that significant cognitive load, the sifting, the sorting, the verifying, shifting that burden away from you, the human, and letting the AI handle it.
It's about finally stopping all that manual digital labor and getting to the point where finding the answers you need is efficient, not exhausting.
It's trying to move us from a place where finding information feels like a chore, a burden, to one where information is genuinely a readily accessible resource that actually supports your work instead of getting in the way of it.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the core takeaway from this deep dive seems pretty clear. That hidden cost of inefficient enterprise search. It's not just about wasted minutes on the clock.
No, it's a real drain on our mental energy, our focus.
Yeah, and that drain directly impacts our ability to work productively, to think clearly, and ultimately to make good, sound decisions.
And the potential solution discussed here, like AI-powered search, is presented as a way to significantly offload that draining burden of wading through digital chaos. The goal is to help us reclaim both that valuable time and that critical cognitive space.
So let's leave our listeners with this thought, building on that potential. If AI really can handle that heavy lifting, the wading through results, the sorting, the filtering, finding the right version, if it can give you back that 10 or maybe 15% of your work week, what could you actually do with that extra time, and maybe more importantly, with the clearer mental space that comes from not being constantly exhausted by the search process? What new problems could you solve? What opportunities could you jump on when you're spending less time finding and way more time actually doing?